Welcome. This is video 13 of the Assessing Risk of Significant Harm training course for child protection practitioners. This course looks specifically at the use of the Stage 2 risk assessment or Risk 2 format to assess risk of significant harm. Video 13 provides a detailed explanation of how to complete Section 4 of the Stage 2 risk assessment. Section 4 focuses on classifying harm that has been identified in Section 3. Classifying harm. Section 4 classifies the harm that has been identified in Section 3. This is classified in accordance with the categories of harm in Section 31(9) of the Children Act 1989 as amended. It classifies impairment and its categories, including the witnessing of the abuse of others, and ill treatment and its categories. All relevant categories should be identified. Under Section 31(9) of the Children Act 1989 and amended by the Adoption and Children Act 2002, harm is defined as impairment or ill treatment. If we look at each of these, impairment includes witnessing the ill treatment of others. Otherwise, impairment of health means physical or mental health, and impairment of development means physical, intellectual, emotional, social, or behavioural development, including the impairment resulting from witnessing the abuse of another person. Ill treatment is abuse. It includes sexual abuse, physical abuse, and forms of ill treatment which are not physical. In Section 4 of Risk 2, there is a grid which includes the various categories from Section 31 of the Children Act 1989. You should identify and record the relevant categories by ticking that box. In the case example, there is no ill treatment, but impairment of health and development. The subcategories are also identified in impairments of physical and emotional development and impairments of physical health. In Section 8 of the risk assessment, a summary statement is created. This brings together information from each of the sections of the risk assessment. This creates a summary of the risk assessment and can be used in other documents and processes, such as the social work report to case conference. We have used a case example to explain how the Stage 2 risk assessment is used in practice. The classification of harm can be seen in this paragraph. It reads as: I consider that there is a strong indication of harm. This harm is an impairment of physical and emotional development and an impairment of physical health. Exercise 8. Classifying harm. Exercise 8 provides you with an opportunity to use Section 4 of the risk assessment. From the Downloads page of the Practice Resource module, you'll find a workbook to accompany this course. This exercise is in the workbook with instructions and the questions from Section 4 for you to complete. You can pause the video in order to fill in your workbook. When referring to any cases in your workbook, please do this anonymously, for example by using initials. Please consider the case example from your own practice. In videos 10, 11 and 12, you identified harm. If there is an indication of harm, Please use the table in your workbook to record the categories of harm according to Section 31 of the Children Act 1989. For example, identify impairment and/or ill treatment by ticking to select, and if there is an impairment, identify the relevant categories and subcategories. If there is ill treatment, identify the relevant categories. You can pause the video in order to fill in your workbook. We have introduced the reason for decision summary, which is developed in Section 8. By referring to the case example from your own work, please develop your sentences for Section 3 and 4. In the case example, this reads as, I consider there is a strong indication of harm. This harm is an impairment of physical and emotional development and an impairment of physical health. Write your own version of the summary based on your answers to Section 3 and Section 4. How difficult was it to select the relevant categories of harm? What did you find most challenging? What difficulties did you have in writing a summary sentence similar to the example provided? What has surprised you in these exercises? You can record your observations in your workbook. Once you have worked through video 13 of the Assessing Risk of Significant Harm course, please progress to the next part, which is video 14, Predicting the Likelihood of Future Harm.